Explanation of the evidence at the Pentagon on 9/11, created by Wayne Coste, narrated by David Chandler. Okay, here is the table of contents, and here is the table of contents for chapters 9 to 17. Chapter 5, The Tree at Column 16. The tree at column 16 is a large identifiable object. The movement of a large identifiable object is subject to the laws of physics. The trunk is severed, a shattered tree stump remains, tree branches are seen at the north end of the impact area, photographs taken after the event document the presence of the lower tree trunk, and you will see that the lower tree trunk was kicked about 100 feet northward. The displacement of the tree above the stump can only be explained by a large plane impact. It indicates a large amount of northward momentum that was transferred to the trunk. The movement cannot be explained by other theories. In particular, it cannot be explained by a cruise missile, exploding drone or other small plane, a secondary plane closer to the heliport, pre-planted explosives either inside or outside the Pentagon, dropped bombs, or the north of Sitco flight path, which would give it a southern directed momentum if it hit. This picture is taken before 9/11. You can see the tree in front of column 16. Here's a satellite photo from September 7th showing the trees near columns 26, 16, and the two trees near the fire station. The trees appear as bright spots in the shadow of the building. The stump of the tree by column 16 was ultimately shattered. It wasn't cut off by a chainsaw, which indicates it was broken off during the event. This is a picture of the west wall before 9/11, and you can see the tree in front of column 16 very clearly. After 9/11, the tree vanishes, and it vanishes from the conversation without a comment. In the ensuing years, Wayne Coste says, he saw only one reference to the stump of the tree, and it didn't follow up with any discussion of where the tree went. Michael Wilson's video has the tree fading into oblivion. Here's the plane as it approaches the tree at column 16. The plane begins to knock the tree forward. The tree fades away in the video and from any discussion. And here is another example of the tree fading out of the Pentagon 9/11 history, even though it's important. Again, here is the tree stump. It is definitely there, seen from many angles, definitely a tree stump, and definitely shattered by an impact. Here's a post-collapse view. The tree stump is seen in vivid color from a different angle than we've seen before. So let's look at the probable sequence for the tree impact and its movement. The plane approached from the southwest. The right wing spar between the fuselage and the engine is the most likely impacting mass. The tree trunk was whacked off and given northerly momentum. It had to have traveled through the fuselage, which is basically light aluminum. There is no way to get the tree moving northward without it impacting the plane itself. This may have been what ripped off some of the larger debris and distributed it on the lawn. The lower part of the trunk is what would have been given the greatest northward momentum. The top of the tree followed behind, thus rotating the tree and causing it to travel trunk first. The lower part of the trunk lands between columns 5 and 8. The tree's top branches are seen as far south as columns 10 or 11. Let's look at the tree branches seen along the northern side of the impact area. The tree branches seen here have been overlooked by 9/11 Pentagon analysts. Their presence has been unexplained. Where did they come from? How did they get there? Some even hypothesize they were rebar from columns that were exploded outward. In the video, behind the smoke curtain, tree branches are claimed to be outwardly bowed columns. The whole analysis shown is based on the assumption that these are rebar, but in fact they are tree branches. So let's take a look at this north side of the impact area. Here we zoom in on it, and now you can see that the little streaks from the previous pictures are in fact tree branches sticking up. You can barely see column 9AA in the smoky area. After the fire, we can still see the branches rising up here on the left, near column 9AA. In this video, after the collapse and fire, the tree branches can be seen near column 11. Here's another view of the branches from a more direct, straight-on perspective as they are engaged in firefighting. Here are tree branches as far north as column 5. The trees to the left are the ones in the vicinity of the fire station and are still standing. Let's look at the tree trunk between columns 5 and 8. During the firefighting period, you can see the trunk lying here. If we zoom in, we can more clearly see part of the trunk as well as some of the branches. Something has landed on top of the trunk on the right. This is beneath the window between columns 5 and 6. As the area is being cleaned up, you can see the trunk has been limbed on the afternoon of 9/11. Here's a zoom in of the trunk. Here's another one. Let's look at the tree debris on the Pentagon lawn. Here are tree branches among the debris on the lawn. This is on the far side of the heliport. This is consistent with the tree at column 16, which was whacked, and then, as Wayne believes, carried out to this far position by the large trailing air mass following the plane as it encountered the wall. Here's a larger branch on the lawn with the leaves still on the branches. This is a little to the south of the heliport. As a note to those who speculate that the plane debris was planted on the lawn, note that the tree debris was unexpected and therefore unlikely to have been planted. This casts doubt on the planted litter theory overall. This shot with the littered debris shows a lot of vegetation consistent with material from the impacted tree at column 16. Here are two surviving trees near the heliport tower. Note the branch hanging from the tree. Some have suggested that it was this branch hanging from this tree that we see lying on the ground in some of the earlier pictures we've looked at. But if you think about it, here it is, still hanging from the tree. It couldn't be the same branch that was seen on the ground because it was in the tree. It's also far too short to be the tree we've been studying lying down along the building. Furthermore, this stray branch would not account for the shattered tree stump. In the next chapter, we will look at the C-ring exit hole.